Are you ready to alter your life? Because that's what's about to happen. If you're looking for a judgment-free zone where TMI doesn't exist, to have the conversations you're not supposed to have, and explore how to make small yet substantial, sustainable changes in your life to actually care for and empower yourself through physical and emotional fitness, then you're in the right place. I'm your host, Alyssa Alter, MOMDON, the Amy Poehler of vaginas, author, speaker, coach, former Broadway performer, certified Pilates instructor, pelvic health expert, comedian, co-founder of postpartum.com, mom on the mend, and board certified doctor of nothing. I believe that if we put as much time, energy, and discipline on our insides as we do our outsides, we'll be unstoppable.
Don't say anything. Take a deep breath and notice what you hear. With your ears, you hear my delicious, comforting, safe, hilarious voice. But what do you hear with your whole body? Listening with our body is key. I mean it. Listening with your body is the key to living your best life, like literally your best life. It's the key to knowing what it is you want, not what someone or something else wants you to want or wants for you, but what you actually want. And let me tell you, once you hear your body's sweet, sweet voice, you will turn up the freaking volume. And this is what we are going to be talking about today. We're talking about how to listen to your whole body and live with your whole body by harnessing the power of, wait for it, the chakra system and the energy centers in our body with Broadway's Rachael Ferrera. Rachael is a Broadway and TV actress, a transformational speaker, spiritual teacher, and Reiki master practitioner, using her superpowers to bring energy healing to the masses and share messages of love and empowerment across the globe. She has a BFA from NYU Tisch School of the Arts, where she studied theater and psychology. Rachael lives in sunny Los Angeles, and you can learn more about her at the link in the show notes for RachaelFerrera.com and her Instagram at the Rachael Ferrera. I also, before we jump into this conversation, I want to share with you one of my legit favorite ways to speak to and hear my body, and that is with my online membership that I have to Movement Unmeasured. Yes, I too teach movement class, and yes, I too love having Simi Bodic guide me through a workout that encourages me to listen to my body. I surrender to her voice and teaching so that I can tune into myself with curiosity and compassion. You may recognize her name, and that's because she was recently on this very podcast in the episode titled Finding Pleasure at the Bar. And she is offering a 7-day free trial to her membership with the link in the show notes. I promise you don't want to miss out. Okay, let's get to the chakra talk. So let's start. What is a chakra?
Yeah. So
what's my chakra?
What's my chakra? What do I do with my chakra? Oh my God. So our chakras are essentially energetic centers. They're energy centers in the body that kind of go up the center line of the body. You could say they go up along the spine area, right? Just like how your spine goes
like
up
really if they were in the center of your body, because your spinal column, fun fact, is actually on the back side of your body. Like the actual physical center of your body is not where the spine is. It resides on the back. So I picture the chakras being sort of right in front of the spine, because that really would be the central column.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely. So they just run up They run up your body from like all the way down from your tailbone to the top of your head. And we can talk about like each of those, like give a little blurb about each of those shortly. But just to understand what they are energy centers in the body. And each of them is responsible for a different aspect of our physical body, our emotional body, and also our life. Like different aspects of our life. So essentially, if one of these, we want these centers to be balanced. We'll talk more about what that means. We want them to be, but just like go with me for a moment if you have no idea what I'm talking about. Just go with me, right? Like for anyone listening who's like, still don't know what this is. Energy centers, we want them to be balanced. We want them to be aligned. When they are balanced and aligned, then whatever that chakra is responsible for is going to be flowing freely in your life. So if you are experiencing something where some area of your life where you just feel stuck or things feel disjointed or jagged or distorted or confusing or you're in a fog, there is a high likelihood that there is something going on with one or many of these energetic centers. The great news here is that it's okay. This is all, like, it's totally fine. This is not a big deal. It's very natural that as we move through our lives, we go through experiences where we accumulate trauma in the body, right? Like trauma, big T trauma, little t trauma. Either one. Essentially experiences where too much is happening too fast for us to fully process in the body. And so we hold that pain, emotions. Sometimes it's physical pain. Physical pain can be held in the body and then stuck in these centers. It can, so like an injury, but it can also be emotional pain that gets stuck in the body. And, you know, a lot of times, generally, they are tied to one or many of these energetic centers. And so, like, what I'm feeling right now is this idea of like, as you're listening to the listeners, like as you're listening, listen with your body, not your head. Listen to this conversation with your body, not your mind. You can listen with your mind too, but allow it to be like a full body experience, because some of this is going to be your body understanding how this works.
I love this. And so take a moment, and Rachel, that you just gave a very beautiful invitation to listen to this with your body. And maybe you listening, that feels scary, and that's okay. Maybe it feels delicious. What I want to know, and I want you to ask yourself, is what does it feel like right now? Like she said it. She said it. She invited you. It's a beautiful invitation. But what are you feeling in your body right now? And then just notice that, or maybe DM us and let us know what you felt. But just pause in this moment, because maybe we'll check in again. Mm-hmm. But I love that invitation to listen with your whole body. Bring this more full awareness. Keep going.
100%. And like, I love that you like paused for that moment, because it's also, again, like we will revisit this over and over, right? In this conversation probably, and in the work I do, it's like wherever you are is perfect. So if I say listen with your body and you're like, like I don't know what that means, a little bit. Right, exactly. Okay, great. Like, just notice that, let it be there, and then just be like, okay, I don't know how to do that. What if I did know? I don't know how to do that. I imagine what listening with my body might be like, and I still don't really feel like I know. And like, that's okay.
Yeah, and like, what could I do right now that makes me not feel like I'm going to throw up in my mouth? Okay, I'm going to go with that for just this moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
All of that's perfect.
Absolutely. Okay, so I know we were talking about chakras, but I'm feeling like I want to like back up a little bit.
Love it.
Into to contextualize why any of this even matters, right?
That was my next question.
Okay, energy centers. Right. Like, because it might be like,
who cares?
Okay. who cares? Like, I've never paid attention to my energy centers before, and I've been just fine, right? Okay, so have you, though? That is no shade, no judgment.
We're all learning.
We are all learning, myself included. It is daily. It is a practice. Okay, so some context here. Why does this even matter? Here's the thing. I feel like we have been sold an idea and programmed and conditioned into going along with this idea that the way that we find success in our lives and the way that we like make the biggest impact is this like go, 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 hustle, grind, productivity in every moment, make sure you're being a contributing member of society. And like with that, I'm not saying that's bad, but with that, there's this connotation of like, if you are not doing something right now, then you are wasting space. That's the idea that we've been sold.
I was sold that. I paid for that. Did I though, or was it gifted to me? I don't know. I got that.
Yeah, probably both, right? It was gifted to us, and then we started paying for it too. Later.
It's like being gifted some sort of subscription where like then you have to start paying every month, and you're like, wait a minute, I didn't even want this.
Yes, 110%. I love that. Yes, absolutely. So like that's the idea that we've been sold. And so that's why, and this is, let me tell you, like, it's not our fault. This was like programmed into our bodies. I mean, into our minds, into our bodies, just into us, especially here in the West, here in America. Like, oh my God, hustle, 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 productivity, go, 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 go.
Yep. More,
Can't stop,
more,
won't
more.
stop. Mm-hmm. And so, okay, that's all well and good, maybe, but there is another option here. And I think that a lot of us have actually reached a point now where we have begun to scratch the surface of another option. We've begun to see that maybe another option exists, and our spirits, our souls, our hearts are asking, crying, possibly screaming for another way.
I think there's also, just to add to that list, there's also just part of us that's like, I don't know if or where that other option is, but I do know this is done. I cannot do this, so I'm there's like that feeling of like there's got to be something else. And if you are feeling that, you're right.
Yeah, 100%. There's got to be another way. I think a lot of people, especially in the height of the pandemic, started to feel that. It's like, whoa, because everything slowed down. Yeah. And it was like, there were, of course, other factors going on that had our nervous systems like on high alert. But there was also this other thing of like, wait a second, I'm more present. Wait a second, I'm enjoying this time with my family. Wait a second, I'm like resting more and it feels good. Wait a second. And so there are these things that I feel like in the collective consciousness, in the collective experience, there became this, is that other way working? I don't know. Like that question at least started being asked in a bigger way collectively than it had been before. And so if that's something that anybody's feeling, it's like, yeah, you are touching on something very real. So here's what I have to offer is another idea. And what I have seen over and over, I've been exploring this work for over a decade. I have worked with so many actors, creatives of many kinds. And I have seen that really the way to reach our highest levels of success and to reach our highest potential and to make our biggest impact is not about nonstop productivity. It's not about super intense goal setting and like running after it every day and never ceasing to be productive and high achieving. It's not about any of that. It is actually about taking a breath, taking a step back, and allowing ourselves to become more of who we're meant to be, to unfold into more of who we're meant to be. That sounds a little abstract, so I'm gonna say more about it, right? So what does that mean? What does that mean? Okay. Unfold into more of who I'm meant to be. That sounds nice. Become more of who I'm meant to be to reach my highest potential. That sounds good. How do you do that, Rach? Okay. So cool.
I love it.
Right. So, whoo. Okay. So you take a breath, number one. Number one, take a breath.
Always.
For the possibility that could be true. I like to say, like, tune into the part of you that already knows this to be true. Tune into the invitation to tune into the part of you that already knows that the way for you to reach your highest potential and make your biggest impact is to allow yourself to unfold into more of who you are meant to be on this planet in this lifetime.
Now, how does that feel in your body?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Ooh, deep breaths. I'm like getting chills all
Me
over.
too.
Just like waves
Full
of
body chills.
Yes. Which is always like, yes, yes, like confirmation.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
Right?
Right. So sometimes there's like this adjustment period, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, yeah. Where we're toying with like, sometimes it is a little bit of discomfort. I think on one of your episodes I was listening to, you talked about like the difference between discomfort and pain, right?
Yeah.
So it's like playing with like, whoa, this might feel a little bit, a little uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar, but recognizing, wait, but this isn't painful and nothing bad is happening. And like, oh, okay, maybe I can breathe into that a little more. It's like when you're in a yoga stretch and it's like, can you take a breath and like actually lean into that more? Oh, and that actually feels okay, you know?
Right. Versus I'm here and I can't breathe. I've gone too far. I need to back off a little bit and get to that place where I can breathe.
Yes. Yes. So some of like what we're talking about today is what creates the space and the feeling of safety to have that space, for that space to feel safe, right? Because the how to allowing ourselves to unfold and become, the thing about it is that in the right environment, we will naturally unfold as more of who we're meant to be. The same way you plant a seed and you water it, you make sure it has enough sun, and that plant, that flower, that tree will grow beautifully, naturally. You're not like sitting there micromanaging its growth, right?
Right.
Like
I am thinking about this. I can't remember if this was just a conversation I had with someone like off the air or in another podcast episode. I don't remember where it came up, but we talked about like you wouldn't plant a banana tree in Maine. Right? Like bananas don't grow in Maine. Right? But if you plant a banana tree in Florida, you can get some bananas.
Right.
Right? They grow bananas. Mm-hmm. But you're not going to go to Nova Scotia and plant bananas.
Right. 100%. Exactly. So it's like creating the right environment for you.
We are the bananas.
Yes. Yes. We're the banana tree. We're the banana tree, and we have to plant ourselves in a fertile environment that
is
works
appropriate
for us.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, I love this. And so how that works, right? Because it's like, so this work is actually the way to success. It's actually about the way to our highest potential, the way to our highest impact, our biggest impact is actually about creating the internal environment that will allow us to thrive. Creating the internal environment that will allow us to be nurtured, nourished, and allow us to thrive. That's what we're actually doing.
So, how?
Yeah,
I agree with you. I mean, there's also another recent episode called "It's Time to Sculpt Your Feelings," which I feel like is in very much in. We're talking about alignment, but in alignment with what you're about to say. But there are a variety of ways to approach this, and what's awesome is really to really do this and cultivate that
internal environment where we can grow and thrive like a banana tree in Florida, it's not just like the soil doesn't have one nutrient. Like, it's a variety. We use different modalities, different practices, different approaches, different language, and language also being like singing bowls, right? That like it's not just words. With what you know, how?
So there are a couple of layers to this. So the work I do, I always am like, the reason it's so effective and efficient and long lasting, as in like forever, like once you see it, you can't unsee it kind of thing, is because can't go back. You're welcome. So it's like, it's because this work is happening. The work I do is on an energetic, emotional, and intellectual level simultaneously. Mm-hmm. So we're working from energetic, emotional, intellectual simultaneously. So we're just like going to put a pin in that. Here's how this relates to unfolding, becoming more of who we're meant to be by creating an internal environment that is nourishing, nurturing, and allows us to thrive. What I have discovered is that it all comes down to three things. So whenever I started to see this in my clients over the years, it's like, there's like some sort of block here. There's some sort of stuckness, some sort of stagnancy, some sort of disjointedness or distortion happening in the body, in life, maybe in like the creative career. It's just like not happening the way you wanted it to happen, whatever. It all comes down to three things. What is missing in the internal environment, anytime that we're feeling stuck or stagnant or things aren't working, is one of these three things: self-love, trust, or intuition. So the way to create the nurturing, nourishing environment that allows us to thrive is to elevate our levels of love for ourselves, trust in ourselves, and trust in the universe, the beyond. It's like just the idea that something's got our back here.
Yeah.
And a relationship with our intuition so that we are connected to our own inner guidance system, our own GPS. I like to talk about intuition. Intuition is the part of us that is connected to the all that is, the part of us that is connected to infinite intelligence. So there's a part of us that's connected to that.
I love the way you said it's the part of us that's connected to the all that is, to the all that is. I love that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know. This is true. Similar to when I went on my first date with Jeremy, I was like, you're important.
Ooh.
I don't know what that means right now, really, but I just know we're going to do this.
Absolutely. And it's like, think about it, right? Like the reason intuition feels kind of intangible at first is because it's the part of us that's connected to the all that is. And the all that is intangible. Like, you know, there's so much that we understand, but there's so much that we don't understand. Sometimes I like to talk about like the conception of a baby. Like we understand scientifically how that happens, but we do not understand how that, like a soul is then welcomed onto the planet Earth by this act and by these like cells coming together. Like what we like by a sperm and an egg coming together. Like how does that create literal life though? Like literal and like a soul coming into the physical. That is intangible. So there are a lot of things that we accept to be true that are intangible. So that's an invitation into the acceptance of your intuition being truth, even though it is intangible.
Now I have to ask the listener, what are you feeling in your body after hearing that? That we already have things in our life where we are accepting the intangible, yet it's really hard to open up to other ones.
Absolutely.
Or it can be.
It can be. It can be. It can be. So I think like this intuition thing it's really good. It's really good. And that one is that one is really energetic, but there are also practical ways to build intuition. But before going into that, I don't even know if we want to go into that or not. We've kind of like given a little window into that. Yeah. It's like just into the idea of accepting it can be that it's real, right? Yeah. That it matters. But so I talked about like self-love, trust, intuition. These are the things we really need to cultivate and cultivate practices around in order to build them. I think sometimes the downfall is like, yeah, I want to love myself more. Yeah, I want to like, you know, learn to connect with my intuition and follow it. And I want to trust myself. But it feels like this like big thing and we don't know how to do it. And I know you talk a lot about kind of this idea of these little steps, right? Like these incremental progress. That's not your language, but small steps that then lead to these like really big results. And that really is what this is too. It's cultivating practices around these three things is what cultivates the nurturing environment that allows us to thrive. Those three things. Then if we want to talk about it from an energetic perspective, healing the energetic centers, the chakra system, in conjunction with developing self-love, trust, intuition. So developing the self-love, trust, intuition is like the emotional and intellectual piece. But it's also in the body, right? Like we have to take these out of just the mind into a visceral understanding. And part of what helps us to get it into that visceral understanding, cultivate these things viscerally in our bodies and in a way that our nervous system agrees with our mind. Part of that is also healing the chakra system, healing these energetic centers along the way in conjunction with that other work. Number one, like, and this is like the most simple, is breath. Just bringing more breath into the body, bringing more breath into the day, into your day. That will do two things, because you talked about like, notice like how do I even know if something's out of balance, and also like how do I bring more nourishment to my internal environment. And I know it seems really simple, but I feel like one of the things I'm always saying is like never underestimate the power of 10 deep breaths. 10 deep intentional breaths.
Agree more.
Yeah, because and I'm like, invitation to like set a timer to go off like 2 to 3 times a day. That's like, breathe.
Well, and if you check out the show notes, there's a link. I have a 5-minute meditation that I use to start my day that is very connected to the breath that everyone is invited to download. And that could be if you're someone who needs someone to tell you what to do. That's me. Meaning I am someone who benefits from someone telling me what to do, even though I'm kind of like, don't tell me what to do. That resource is available, or set a timer, and every time it goes off, take 10 deep breaths.
Take 10 deep breaths, and just as you do, all you're doing, you're connecting to yourself, and you can also ask yourself as you take those 10 deep breaths, kind of how we've been doing in this episode, how do I feel? How do I feel in my body? How do I feel in this moment? How do I feel in this moment? How do I feel in this moment? And just notice over time, you'll start to notice what are the recurring feelings. Is it like every time you're doing that, you're like, oh, I'm actually feeling very joyful and I'm feeling open and I'm feeling free? Or is it like every time you're doing it, you're like, I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling kind of angry. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm just feeling stuck. Like there's no bad feelings, but it's just noticing what's there. And the awareness is actually the first step, because once it's into consciousness, you can do something with it. Yeah. It's when it's lying underneath the surface that it's more difficult to work with. So the very first baby tiny step is breath.
I love that. Because you know what? Here's the other thing. We're all breathing all day, every day. Like my ballet teacher says, breathe or you'll die, right? If you hold your breath, you'll pass out or just start breathing. We are breathing all day, every day. So this is bringing some intention and attention to it. I love that. Noticing it, gathering some information to learn more about ourselves.
Yes. And it just helps to know. And then, you know, if you notice that you are having recurring experiences, recurring feelings that are not feeling pleasant to you, that you're just kind of feeling done with, there are patterns happening that you don't want anymore, sometimes it is then time to look for some level of support or guidance to help you to shift those
to address
things.
it, to actually do something, and to create the change that you want, because we're in charge.
All of these ideas, like you can hear it and it can feel like, okay, I like this, but that feels like a lot, and I don't know. I understand kind of the path now, but I don't know how to walk it necessarily. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, I created something new that I've been offering.
Yes.
And it's free. And so I'm offering these monthly soul talks. And so you can, if you're listening and you're like, this is resonating with me, maybe you don't even know why it's resonating with you. Maybe your mind isn't even latching onto it, but your body is like, please tell me more. Like, something about these chakras makes sense. Something about the self-love, intuition, trust, becoming more of myself. Something about this feels good, feels interesting. I'm curious if it's resonating, or if you've just been feeling stagnant or stuck or disjointed in some way. I just want to invite you to come to one of my monthly free soul talks, because this is something I created to be an entry. It's like an open door for you to walk through, to come experience some of this work with support and guidance. And I don't believe in wasting people's time. So I don't believe in free things that are not giving an immense amount of value. So I'm just telling you, like, come get in the room with me. Let's get in the room together and let's start moving through the healing of these energetic centers. I promise I will talk to you in regular words, and you don't have to know anything about it. And I will be giving nuggets of guidance around specifically, tangibly, how to cultivate more self-love, trust, intuition, so you're cultivating the environment that will allow you to thrive and reach your highest potential. So come to one of my free soul talks.
OMG, and I will see you there. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me and listening to the end of this episode. Look at you. You're someone who finishes what they start. I love that about you. And if you're picking up what I'm laying down, be sure to visit me over at alissaalter.com for more resources on how you can alter your life, like downloading the 5-minute meditation that I use to start my day with confidence and ease, all before getting out of bed. See you next week.